Welcome to today's exciting discussion on the rise of retail futures trading across America and globally. I am so excited to be here with you today with our guest, Anthony Denier, CEO of Webull US, and Julie Winkler, our Chief Commercial Officer over at CME Group. We're going to have a really exciting discussion today, hearing from an exchange, hearing from a brokerage firm about the rise of retail trading and why you should be excited about it. We're going to just get started right away here, and I'm going to go to Julie first. Julie, CME has obviously been at the forefront of making futures more accessible to the retail trader. Can you share how CME has approached growing their retail business?
Sure, Mark, and thanks for having me. Retail has been an ongoing investment for the CME. We've been at this for a long time. It's our fastest growing client segment. And I think one of the things that has continued to make it so compelling is really the product opportunities, the diverse product offerings that we have, the fact that we continue to work with 150 different global partners like Webull around the world. Retail traders are different in a lot of different locations, so I think staying close to the customers is also critical. And really our ongoing investment into education and marketing has been a key part of how we've stayed relevant. On the diverse product offerings, I mean, it's been a great year so far. So you take something like gold, where, you've seen price appreciation since January of over 26%, but a lot of price volatility. And so when you have a product like micro gold, we've seen tremendous volume increase in that. It's been our number one retail, top 10 retail volume days in gold this year. And so, retail traders want to trade what's hot and what's moving, and gold, again, is a perfect example of having the right product at the right time through the right brokers, and that's been a critical point of success for us.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's when you look at all the exchanges in the world, and especially futures exchanges, I think CME definitely has been the most visible out there. And I think a lot of exchanges are taking notice of it. So it seems to be a lot of individuals are talking out there and other exchanges about, have we missed something? Why were they doing this way before us? But I think it just shows how at the forefront, how CME is really listening to customers, looking at the space and making their decisions. So thank you, Julie. And I'm going to shift over to Anthony for a moment here. Anthony, Webull recently expanded its product offering to add futures to it. And can you talk a little bit about the decisions behind adding futures to your offering?
Yeah, no, happy to. Thanks for having me here. I love Chicago, by the way. It's such a great city. Retail has grown so much in the last, let's call it 5 years, right? I want to keep the time frame tight. But if you look at how the behavior of a retail investor, the access to products, the access to tools, the access to different information, whether it's through the Webull platform itself or whether it's from, YouTube channels, right? Or Reddit streams. The communication between retail is much more looking like how an institutional trader acted only 5 years ago. And not only are I think levels of information and the quality of information starting to level off, which benefits retail, but we've also seen exchanges, right? The providers of these products start to move into products that are much more retail friendly, right? Julie talks about, micro contracts, right? Being more retail friendly. We're seeing this across the board with a lot of our exchange partners. And when we look at the reasons why bringing futures products to our customers, which again was recently, we launched in April of 24, is because the line of retail in terms of their enjoyment, their ability to access, and their product knowledge has expanded so much that it's a natural evolution to get into futures trading. We saw retail customers coming to Webull in the beginning of 2018 because they like the value proposition. They like the product of trading zero commission equities. We've then seen the appetite grow into more momentum or higher risk products and options. And options trading is now, retail dominates market share in retail trading. Only the last several years is a new phenomenon. I think the next stage is actually in futures, where the ability for customers to understand how the products work, seeing opportunities when they arise, and being able to, like Julie said, retail loves the momentum, right? They love the action, and there's no more actionable and opportunistic market than what futures provide. So it was a no-brainer for us to get into futures.
Yeah, I know it. At the exchange, we were very excited when you guys decided to get into this space, and it's been a pleasure to work with you guys. And the interest that we've seen already from your customers has been really amazing. So excited about what's to come.
Thank you.
On that front. Julie, shifting back over for a second, as we've seen more and more traders come into our markets, you and I have been, working together for quite some time. And as we've seen new firms come into the space, as we've seen new traders come in, obviously there's been a lot of talk about younger traders coming into our markets, thanks to firms like Webull making them available to them. From your perspective, what's been some of the more interesting findings that you've seen with the new trader that's coming into the markets today? And what, from your perspective, are you bullish the new traders coming in? Are you a little concerned about them? What's your perspective on what you've seen at the exchange?
Yeah, I think Anthony touched on a lot of these. They are definitely younger, they are digitally savvy, they are more sophisticated, and absolutely in our business, we've seen that trajectory grow tremendously within the last 5 years. It was definitely a post-COVID type growth in that standpoint. When you look at the stats over how these traders are getting trading ideas and following recommendations, 75% of them are getting their educational content through these online sources. So platforms, data, analytics. And so I think as they, again, have grown in their sophistication and couple that with this calculated risk appetite, that's what really makes futures such a great fit for them. And the fact that we are open 24 hours a day and offer that deep liquidity, it really has grown into this global marketplace. And so I think it's far more appealing than what we had seen traditionally, where people would maybe graduate into futures after, trading a large equity portfolio for many years and getting into equity options, and then derivatives kind of became the pinnacle. We're seeing people jump in far sooner into futures, and hopefully starting to see some great growth in our options on futures too.
Yeah, no, I think it's so fascinating when you think about the access and information that traders had 10, 15, 20 years ago versus what it is today. And, Anthony, before we dive into some of the technology enhancements and some of the new tools and analytics that are available to traders on your platform, and before we go there, can you give a sense on, and I know it's still early days in offering futures, but when you look at your stock trader, your option trader, those that are fascinated by crypto, and then those that have come over to trade futures, are the folks that are coming over to trade futures, are they different? How are they different? What can we share with those that are listening today?
I wouldn't say that they're different. I would say that our futures customers, they're our equity customers. They're just a little further down the experience timeline than a lot of our newer equity customers. So like you mentioned, yes, our customers tend to trend younger on the scale. I believe the latest survey was our average customer age is about 33, 34 years old. And the fact that, to go into product, the fact that our main user base, so more than 85% of our trades, whether it's equities, options, futures, crypto, they're happening on the mobile app, right? And so focusing the product and the experience through the mobile app hits perfectly with our demographic of customers. And when we start offering products, futures products that fit into the trading style of our customers, making sure that we have the right products for them within the app. For example, ladder trading, like the ability to actually execute an order through the ladder is something that is very desktop driven. We've taken a lot of time to make sure that we've made the experience of being able to trade off of a ladder like seamless on a mobile app, right? And that's something that resonates with our customers. They are looking for that experience where not only can they take advantage of opportunities as they come up in real time, they can do it right in the palm of their hand. So that ease of access and the ability for us to also educate them on that same platform, educate them as to the risks and also the opportunities that exist with the products. And this is something that, we've been working on ever since we started in the equity business, and we finally expanded to the futures business. Building crypto along the way, the fact that futures does trade 24/7, I think is something that also resonates with our client base. I mean, a typical retail customer is not spending their time worrying about what happens post-trade, right? Whether it's a T1 settlement, whether it's T2, whether their buying power is going to be directly available after they make a sale. It needs to be seamless. And so the futures product itself is native to the new retail customer that sees no difference between trading in equity or day trading at equity in real time, trading crypto at 11:59 on a Sunday night, right? Or trading, a futures contract, right? These are all products that are delivered in a way that is easily for a retail user to digest, but done in a way that's really thoughtful about how they can become more successful in placing their trades.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when Anthony just spoke about, having a ladder on an app and some of the things they've done, I had the pleasure to, before we got started today, be able to look at their app. And, as we work with firms all over the world, and of course, CME is a neutral exchange, and we work with all of our key partners. But I'll tell you guys something, their app is sharp. And what they've done is, you would think that you need a downloadable platform to have a really thick, robust trading experience. Some firms have a web-based platform as a transition from a downloadable platform. But most of the apps that I've had the pleasure to see lacked some of the sophisticated tools and analytics that Anthony was just referring to. And if you get a chance, you got to check out this app because it is really sharp the way that they brought these tools in, but it still feels like an app. So well done on that front.
Appreciate that.
Julie, when we think about at CME how we educate traders, and obviously we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to figure out how to do it the best we can. From your perspective, how has the exchange been evolving in light of what's happening on the street, whether it's with Anthony's technology, whether it's with the greater sophistication of traders? How has CME changed its approach to education?
Yeah, I mean, just 10 years ago, I think we would spend a lot of time doing, in-person seminars and getting retail traders in the room and walking them through hedging strategies and how to use the instruments. And it definitely has become far more dynamic. It has become far more a mobile experience. We just recently launched our trading simulator, and it had to be mobile friendly. I mean, that was like the first requirement on the list. And I also think there's a lot more gamification that's happening in education as well. They're traders because they're competitive. And so launching things like trading challenges or using AI to have virtual coaches or mentors within some of the simulated environments, that all has really exploded, I'd say, in the last few years. And that's, I think because the retail trader wants to learn by doing. They don't want to sit in some seminar hearing somebody talk on a Saturday morning. And so I think working with firms like Webull to be able to deliver that education and also just the marketing content of, podcasts like this and other ways that they can hear about people in the marketplace, follow influencers that are active in this space. That to me is all contributing to that education of that retail trader, which is critical. And when you look at a firm like Webull, who's still very new to futures, but what they've been able to drive in terms of new user adoption, it's been amazing to see what they've done out of the gate.
Yeah, it truly has. And, of course, I work for CME Group, so, I am proud of some of the things that we are working on. And it's challenging, guys, because things are evolving so quickly. And from your standpoint, Anthony, trying to stay up with, okay, what's the latest thing we need? We've got the ladder. What's next? Mm-hmm. From your standpoint, do you find it extremely challenging, exciting to try to always be one step ahead of how things are evolving?
It's definitely exciting. Without competition, we'll never get better. right? And the whole point is to constantly improve, constantly give a better experience to our clients, and to make them more successful, right? That is our goal. That is what drives us. I am extremely excited not only about the space that we're getting into, but also the environment that we're in, right? When I say environment, regulatory environment. It seems that now we are in a space where the regulators are opportunistic. They're looking at ways where we can embolden and we can drive innovation. We can embolden the customer in not only having better access to quality products, but having the ability to use those products to benefit their financial future. And so predictive markets, right, is also something that's extremely interesting. You guys have been offering predictive markets, I think, for 3 years now, right? You guys are CME, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is so much opportunity with these markets, especially for the retail customer, that maybe their entry point into learning what a futures contract is or being able to understand a futures contract may be a little lower than gold, right? They may be a little lower than the indice in terms of pricing. So the opportunity there is really exciting for retail. And I think that creates a comfortability with trading a futures product that'll eventually, as that customer learns an experience, like you said, I can tell someone, I can bring someone to a seminar, I can give them a book on learning how to drive an automobile. But until you actually get behind the wheel and do it is how you figure it out and you get more proficient in doing it. It's the same thing with investing. It's the same thing with trading. And I think as the industry starts to embrace these entry products, I think will only enhance that education and the growth of typical retail investors in future products going forward.
Yeah, it's definitely keeping us up. People used to always ask the question of executives, what's keeping you up at night? What's your biggest concern or fear? And I'll tell you from, my perspective working at CME, it's how do you stay 3 steps ahead of something that's moving so fast? And Julie, as we talked about at the beginning, I really do believe that CME was one of the first futures exchanges to really say, we need to make retail a priority. We believe this space is going to grow. We believe 10, 15 years from now, it's going to be much bigger than it is today. And this is going back in time. As you look today, when you think about everything that's happening from event contracts that Anthony mentioned and regulatory stuff and everything else, how does CME best position itself to stay a leader from the futures perspective and not fall behind others because of whatever reason?
I think it probably comes down to 2 things. One is, I think with most businesses, you have to stay close to the customer. And our best way to do that is through partners like Webull, who, I think the amount of depth that our teams are learning about how retail traders operate, how to make them more successful, how not just to attract new clients, but to retain them, has been a critical area of focus. I think, getting that right, arming them with those educational tools, arming them with things that are helping them learn as they go and get them behind the wheel, as Anthony pointed out. And I think the second piece is product innovation is key to this. So with the launch of the Micro Suite back in 2019, we saw a huge uplift in our activity because we had finally, created a more retail-friendly product. And so I think that simplification that we talked about with event contracts is also another way to kind of demystify futures and allow them to get at the benefits of the futures contract without maybe the complexity that sometimes comes with it. And so you have to keep innovating. We can't just say, oh, yep, got that retail product suite done and move on. I think, continuing to focus on options, the event space, and I think there's a lot of great opportunities ahead.
Anthony, we've seen so much success come from Webull into our futures market, over the last year. It's been really impressive. And when you look forward and, what excites you the most about the future as it pertains to your futures business at Webull?
I mean, there's so much to be excited about. We have now entered a world where, going back to, thinking about when I started retail investing, the opportunity for me to trade futures really didn't exist. least not on a real level. Being a retail customer, the futures product has focused more on the institutional side of our business. And that momentum is really starting to shift now in a meaningful way. That is extremely exciting, because when you combine opportunities for retail investors, whether they exist in equities or an options contract, a cryptocurrency transaction, or a futures contract, there's always different ways to manage your portfolio, to manage risk, and to seize opportunity when it happens. And so giving more products to the Webull users is something that we strive for every single day. And now that we've obviously partnered with the CME, we're starting to see more retail adoption happen over and over in terms of easier access to information, easier access to the ability to trade these products, lowering the barriers of entry to a lot of these products with more retail-friendly pricing of products, like with the micro products. And so as I look forward and we continue to expand in offering more futures products to our clients, as our product menu expands, as our customer size expands, it's an extremely exciting time for Webull to participate in this new product line. Our customers embrace it. We see futures trading as having that next kind of wave of excitement that we saw 5 years ago with equities, that we're now kind of seeing, I think, peak with the options business, and the futures business is just scratching the surface in terms of where we're going to be. And we're going to look back, I think, in 2 years, and retail is going to be a huge part of the growth of adoptions of futures trading and investing in an average retail portfolio.
I want to, again, thank you, Anthony, for joining us today, and Julie for joining us today. I am so excited about what I've heard. I'm so excited about what Webull is doing in the future space. I'm so excited about what CME is doing in the future space. And I really hope that it had a positive effect on all of you that are tuning in today, whether you're watching this on your phone or whether you're watching it on your computer screen. I really hope that you found some of this information to be of value. And, I know trading is an exciting area for everybody. And I know there's a lot of hard work that goes into trading and being a successful trader. And we truly do wish you the greatest success in trading futures.